Hello everybody. On this video I want to speak with you about the lie that you have been hearing, the lies that you have been used to, the lies which you have come to expect with your disembodied language, your usual way of talking, which I call disembodied language, in which you do not listen to yourself. When you do not listen to yourself, you are bound to make it seem as if you're speaking. You make it seem as if you're listening. You make it seem as if you are communicating, as if you are having relationship. But all of it is just phony. All of it is just meaningless. All of it is just fake. When you listen to yourself, you say something that you like to hear. When you listen to yourself, you produce a sound that you want to hear. You are saying something which is meaningful, which is new. And when you don't listen to yourself, when you engage in your usual disembodied language, you produce a sound which isn't really yours. And yeah, of course you can say it is yours because it expresses your fear, it expresses your aggression, it expresses your anger and your frustration and your confusion and your struggle and all that. And that's true. But once you come to your senses, once you stop fighting, once you stop being confused, once you begin to enjoy yourself, once you feel at ease, not threatened, not humiliated, not distracted, once you feel certain, confident, happy, at ease, you sound different. And so you don't listen to yourself in disembodied language because you don't want to hear how you sound. You don't like how you sound. You feel embarrassed about, not being one with yourself. You feel basically ashamed that you are being untruthful, that you are lying to yourself. And so, this is what happens when you listen to yourself. You experience immediately the relief that comes with being truthful to yourself. And you cannot fake it. You cannot imagine this. You cannot rehearse this. You cannot practice this. You either do it or you don't. And when you do, you know that you are doing it. And when you don't do what I'm doing, I listen to myself, If you don't do that, you don't know that you're not doing it. You will only know that you were not doing it in retrospect, looking back. Looking back on what you have done, you realize like, yeah, I wasn't listening to myself. I wasn't being myself. I was confused. I was stressed out. I was upset. I was worried. I was anxious. I was all intimidated. I was all overwhelmed. I was, completely off my rocker. Yeah. You were not feeling good about things. You were upset. And of course, you don't like to be that way. Why would anyone like that? You don't want to hear it. You don't want to acknowledge it. You don't want to be like that. But you can only acquire, because now we're talking about the continuation of embodied language. There can be no continuation of listening to yourself while you speak if you do not stop your disembodied language. And so catching yourself in this lie is needed. Catching yourself not listening to yourself is the only way in which you can continue with your embodied language. You will not be able to continue with your embodied language if you are not willing to admit your own embarrassment. If you cannot talk with yourself about the fact like, wow, so I was not being myself. I was being, what was I? You were just something strange, something which is not you. Because when you are yourself, you feel good. When you are yourself, you feel happy. Good morning. Hi. Have a good day. Hi. Hi. So, the lie of disembodied language is always stopped whenever you manage to have embodied language, whenever you are able to produce that sound you want to hear. And yes, you can say for yourself, well, how do I produce that sound? How do I produce that sound? Well, do you hear that dog? Okay, well, do you like to listen to yourself barking? Do you like to listen to yourself complaining? Is that the sound of your embodied language? Is the sound of your stress and your fear and your sadness and your despair, is that the sound of your embodied language? And yes, you can say, okay, let's say you are sad. Let's say you are confused. Let's say you are angry. Let's say you are very upset and you're very infuriated about what happened. Okay, you are expressing that and you are listening to that. And you describe for yourself what it is. So your anger is just your anger. And your fear is just your fear. You worry about things. You're anxious about things. And your hatred towards people or your resentment, your vindictiveness, you want to retaliate. You want to keep fighting. It sounds like what it sounds like. There's no way to pussyfoot around it. If you listen to how it sounds, if you really listen to how it sounds horrible. You sound horrible when you experience all these negative things. And no, you're not going to say to yourself, oh, sounds so nice that I'm angry again. Sounds so nice that I feel so happy that I am sad, or I'm so happy that I'm confused, or that I'm stressed out. No, you're not happy. You don't feel good about that. You don't like that. But since you do sound like that, you have to admit that it is true that you are angry. You have to admit that you are sad, you are frustrated, you are fearful, you are again totally upset and totally intimidated, totally overrun. Yeah, you feel disrespected. You feel like nobody cares. And do you care? Do you care about yourself enough to say like, yeah, this is what it is. I am just really pissed, and I'm really angry, and I'm really feeling lost, and I don't have anything positive to say about this. Okay, now you let things be what they are. Now you stop lying. Now you are being truthful to yourself. Now you hear yourself. And yes, you don't like it. You don't like that you sound that way, but you know what? This is how you sound. And maybe you can't help it, or maybe you don't want to do anything about it. Maybe you just say like, well, God damn it, I'm pissed. And I am truthful because I am pissed. I am truthful because I am sad. I am myself because it is true. I am confused, and I do not know what to do. I do not know how to go on. And what I've done didn't work. And I'm ready to not do what I've done anymore. Yeah. And of course there is sadness in that. Of course there is a sense of loss, because you've wasted your time, you've wasted your life. You have done something, it didn't work. You have failed yourself. Yeah? All of that. Good morning. Hi. Yeah, nice day. Yeah. And so now you start to sound different, because you have acknowledged the sound of disembodied language. The horrible sound, the sound you don't like to hear, the sound which is demanding, the sound which represents that you feel overtaken by negative feelings, emotions. The sound that you're not in control of yourself, in the sense that you don't feel happy, you are just affected by circumstances in ways that you do not want. You're dissatisfied. Morning. So your sound changes. And then you have embodied language because you now are able to produce that sound. And you're no longer lying. Yeah, because you're justifying with all sorts of reasons why you were feeling this way and why you are right, others are wrong, and why you also continued. You're justifying why you continued with your disembodied language. You're always justifying why you continue with your disembodied language. And now, as you listen to yourself, you're no longer justifying it. No. You're being truthful. And yes, truth can be painful and shocking, but it is a relief because you feel that relief. And you feel something new is happening. Yeah. And you look back and you continue with your embodied language and you realize there was no such thing as what you are doing right now. Yeah. You were not having this conversation with yourself. Yeah. You were maybe talking with others, or others were maybe talking with you. You were listening to others, or they were listening to you. But you weren't talking with yourself, and you weren't listening to yourself. Yeah. But now you are. And so you can understand what has happened. And you can reinterpret what has happened. Because this, what you're doing right now, it never happened. It never happened the way it is happening right now. And what I mean by that is the continuation of your embodied language is determined by a sound which you like to hear. So you keep producing that sound. You keep having more of it because you stimulate yourself by having that sound. You turn yourself off if you don't have that sound. You disappoint yourself, you forget yourself, you disconnect with yourself if you don't have that sound. So, yeah. And so, the lies, or the lie, if you want to make it into one thing, because you can just say that all of disembodied language is one big lie. Yeah. It stops. And you are renewed. Because you hear a different sound. And as I'm riding my bicycle here, and as I am still feeling the loss of my father who has died, I am experiencing this wonderful morning on my bike ride. And I'm revisiting my own lives, my own disembodied language, and how I've come to where I am now. Yeah. And how my father's death is another. Yeah, I mean, he died of old age, and yet his departure, it marks for me also a new era for me, an era without my father being there anymore. Before, yeah, in the last days of his life, he was in bed and, he was shutting down. I got a message from my brother because my father was in the Netherlands, in the town where I was born, in The Hague. And I'm here in the United States, and I won't be going back for his funeral or anything, because I'm here and I continue to be here. But in these last days of his life, I was, of course, considering the influence of my father on me, and I dedicate this truthfulness that I have become capable of with my embodied language. I dedicate that to my father. Yeah. And although I wasn't able to have embodied language with my father, I have embodied language because of him. The sun is about to come up.